Hello and welcome to The Conversation. Look, we are back for another episode and we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. So we're going to get right into it. Joining me as always, Greg Kirkland.
Yes, sir.
DeMarcus Smith and the Jeff Fauntleroy.
Hey, how are you?
Come on, Doc.
We are all here looking very dapper today.
Man,
sir.
I'm celebrating life.
Call that dapper.
Come on,
I'm
man.
celebrating life. I'm happy to be alive, man.
All right, we're happy you're
I'm
alive. too.
celebrating life.
All right. Look, we're going to get right into this, get to know the host question. Again, I'm going deep with y'all this time. I'm going a little deep.
Oh, boy.
Okay, you ready for it?
Let's go.
Yes, sir.
If you had a chance to know how long you had left on this earth, would you want to know?
Oh,
Let's start down on the end with Jeff
Email
Fauntleroy.
him.
no. No. I live every day to the fullest. I'm not leaving. I'm leaving everything on the court. I'm leaving it all on the court. I don't want to know.
Okay.
Make it happen quick.
All right. DeMarcus?
I thought about that. I'm going to say yeah. I'm going to say yes. Only because knowing lets me know. I mean, you can't stop it at that point. Right? You can't change it. You can't shift it. So I know it. What it does eliminate for me, though, is fear and not giving 100 and worrying about small things, allowing things to affect you. But it pushes me to enjoy the beauty in front of me. Enjoy the moments, create the memories, right? Like really just let things roll off of you that really don't even matter at that point. But really just, man,
Yeah.
I'm with my brothers right now.
And I'm going to have to go with the same answer. Yes, I would want to know.
Really?
And pretty much for the same reason. I would want to know, absolutely. Pretty much for the same reasons that he said. I think it would be helpful to me to have that information. Now, the scary part is knowing that you can't change it.
Yeah.
Now, especially if that day is 3 days
I
from
was
now.
going to say, what do you do when it starts getting close?
Right.
But again, I would want to know. Greg?
I was going to say no, but y'all make a great argument there. So I think maybe. Now, I'm gonna stick with maybe.
Stick with me.
That's all I can say is maybe.
But I thought that's a good question to try to think about, because to think about, So,
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get into the conversation. You ready? All right.
Yes.
So look, again, all these topics we talked about over the season, people want to know about more things about them. So somebody wanted to know more about the conversation we had early this season about why people are leaving the church.
I knew that one was coming back.
They wanted to know why people are
was
leaving.
coming back.
So let's talk about that a little bit more before we get to the debate. Let's talk about that as our conversation starter. Why people are leaving? They wanted to talk about,
ready for
and
it.
they wanted to start again. The point came towards you as far as from millennials.
Yep.
Kind of. So I'm gonna let you lead this.
So when we had that conversation on that episode, I actually went back and dropped that on my young adults. I dropped it on my students. And the common response, it was challenging to hear this. It hurt me to my core, but it needed to be heard, right? The common response from the millennials, because it was leaving the church, the building, it was hypocrisy.
Wow.
And when everybody was talking about it, that was always the common thing.
Sure.
And when I asked further, it was like some of them would say, churches has lost its substance for performance. Or one of the biggest pieces was not just the preacher, the people that volunteer, the people that work within the churches. It was the whole, you can't, even if I grew up in it all my life, or I'm new to it, even there was, I talked to a gentleman who even ventured into the older saints, right? Who were leaving the church.
Right.
Because of the hypocrisy that goes on. It's, I come here for something. And if you come to me, you speak to me, you give life to me.
Sure.
It's the way that I receive that thing from you. Now I see you in a certain space. And so when your actions contradict that, what's happening is it's now interfering with my faith. It's interfering with my thoughts around God, because this person who is speaking word,
You're
who is
attached.
speaking God to me, who's shifted my whole life, is now turning around from an action standpoint and cutting me because I'm like, you just gave me life, but you ain't living that thing.
Wow.
Or you just told me what to do, how to do,
Wow.
and then you come back and you
something
make
totally
and and it's not a judgmental thing, and that's what I had to tell him. I said
it's
it's not
reality.
judgmental,
Sure.
but it's bleeding into faith. It's bleeding into how they were viewing God, and it was hard for me to hear it, but I understood it. But it also forced me to shift because being not just a pastor,
Sure.
being a shepherd, being a leader, or being someone that somebody is looking up, influence, whatever you want to call it, at this point, it forces me to realistically, whatever I'm saying, I've got to match that.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I don't know who's still watching.
Wow.
And I could be at the grocery store, you're watching.
Absolutely.
If I make a move on this female, everything that I've oomphed into you
Yeah.
is out the window.
Wow.
So it was, that jacked me up.
Absolutely.
That jacked me up.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's why they call Christianity, and it's a walk.
For sure.
You know, it's a walk because you have to, and again, that makes sense for millennials and people that new to it, because I think for me, I've learned to, and I don't want to say blinders, but I've learned how to discern. I don't put into the people because
Yeah.
people will
Will let
let
you
you
down.
down. People will, you will see them in their humanity, and so I have, and again, that's not something that you get overnight. That's
Right.
something you get by trial and error,
Right.
because you get cut, you get hurt, and all
Right.
those things. But
Right.
again,
You learn to
over
see that for
time,
yourself.
you learn in order in order to survive. You learn to, you know what, you have to see that for what it is. And again, you don't judge it. But now I have gotten to where I don't even let that impact my walk. Because you have to
Sure.
grow to that, because
Absolutely.
if you see that, for example, some people see whether it be a preacher or anybody in their church, and if you see them, that same person in another place, like, wow, I can't believe that I saw them
Yeah.
here.
You start to see them yeah.
Right, you see them in a different light. So that's what that is. So
Well, you know what's interesting is hearing what you just expressed. I'm more concerned about how it is being talked about to these young people,
Right.
about the dynamics of the one giving the word
Right.
and you receiving it.
Right.
One of the things I tried to do, and my children were fortunate enough to understand that, hey man, yes, I'm the teacher, preacher, or before I was, this is the pastor, but he's also a human. So, I'm concerned of how we are explaining to our younger folks about the relationship of the pastor-teacher and them being a human.
Right.
That male or female still being a human.
Right.
yeah.
And just one who teaches and preaches the word just as
Sure.
mommy and daddy
Right.
preach and teach what's going on here. And we still have some flaws.
Yeah.
But don't let the message get mixed up with the person.
I don't think it's more. I don't.
And
From what
that
I don't think it's more preachers that people get caught up. I think it's usually messiness in church. Usually is not the preacher. It's usually the folk.
Right. No,
You know what I mean?
that's what
That's why I said it. That wasn't just for the preacher.
okay.
No,
No,
I agree.
Oh,
I
okay,
think it. No, I think
okay.
it's usually
All right.
it's usually the foolishness of somebody that you
Okay.
let into your circle for whatever
Right.
reason,
Yeah.
and
Right.
then you turn and that knife comes in the
something
back.
different.
Yeah.
And it's hard to whoa. Is this how? This is what they do. There's a better code than that on the street.
Yeah, okay.
You know, when you grow up in the hood,
Right.
there's a code on the street. You know,
There's some honor there
yeah, there's some
that you're
honor.
not getting
You don't
in.
do
Okay.
this.
I got you.
You don't do this. Certain things you don't.
Right.
Like when I grew up, you don't talk about if you had a friend who's even when you joning, you talking playing the dozens.
Right.
if you had a friend whose mama or daddy was dead,
Yeah, you don't
didn't
talk
talk
about
about
that.
that.
Yeah, you don't talk about
off
that.
limits.
And if you did by mistake, they would say,
Right.
hey, his mama's dead.
Right.
Oh,
That
I'm
was
sorry,
off
I
limits.
didn't know. That's off limits.
Okay.
So
So with
there
that, I
are
agree.
rules, but sometimes in the church world,
Yeah.
it seems
bleeds
like
over.
there's no rules.
No,
and you open yourself up to trust,
Yeah.
and then you get that destroyed, and that that's problematic.
No, I agree. I agree 100% with that. So now, what I believe, based on your question, people want to know God, and they found out that they can learn about God outside of the church.
For sure.
And a lot of people now, they've learned that they can fellowship with 4 or 5 of their friends over at, at the park with a couple sandwiches and some mimosas
versus the truth.
versus coming to this place and having to deal with that. So here's 5 of my people who are like-minded, we're friends, we hang out together, we cool, and we're all on this search to learn more about God because we want to be better people.
Right.
And we have seen others who have embraced a God-like spirit and have embraced Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior and said, I'm going to be a better person.
Sure.
But I can't deal with the nonsense in there. I don't want to deal with that no more.
I agree with you, but let me throw this. My counterpoint to that is you have to make sure in that group of 5 that you got somebody who know the word.
Oh,
Got to.
Well,
Because
yeah.
you can have 5
Well, that's-
people,
yeah.
friends together, but they
It's the blind leading
and,
the
and,
blind.
and I didn't
Blind
throw
leading
that
to
in.
death.
You do need a spiritual leader.
You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely.
know
You just have
and
to know.
trust that,
Right.
hey, this person, this guy, this
They-
gal.
right, exactly. That's all I'm saying.
They know what they're doing. They got some education to them
Right.
in this, and I trust them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all I'm saying.
I trust
Greg,
them.
what do you?
I think that in hearing this, it's a bit scary to me. Really.
Yeah.
It's a bit scary.
Real
It's
talk.
a bit scary to me because what I begin to become fearful of, and I know that we haven't been given the spirit of fear, all that kind of stuff, but what I begin to get fearful of is what will happen or what length will believers go to humanize themselves enough
Oh, man.
to gain the trust
Yeah.
of people
Yeah.
so that they don't become hypocritical when they make a human move.
for sure.
Yeah, Greg.
That scares me because
Yeah.
because then what happens is that we develop a movement of believers now that live carnally
Yep.
Just to embrace.
just so that they can be seen as being
Yeah. See, I'm like you.
yeah.
See? I do this.
See,
I do this. See?
You see what I'm saying?
I do
It's
this.
okay. It's okay to go here. It's okay.
Yeah.
To go
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Wanna
You
be
know,
mainstream.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
And so, what are we developing for the sake of
Right.
yeah.
not causing people to stray away? It's
Yeah.
just like,
It's a balance. It's a
So
balance.
much.
Yeah.
man.
Holiness
balance.
is still important.
holiness is still right.
It's
now.
still
Yeah,
right.
holiness is
It's a
still
holiness
right,
is
man.
still
I mean,
right.
you know,
Holiness is still right.
Your fear is what I was fearing when I heard what was discussed. I'm like, wow, man, this is.
But that's why it was so challenging because
Wow.
it hit, and there was so many connections in it, but it was truth in it. Then it was like
Yeah.
and it just it hit me, it challenged me, because if you see me in that light, not perfection, anything
Sure.
like
Right,
that,
right.
but now that's the standard that I want to make sure that I don't sway. So it's like my kids watching me, and I'm telling them to do something, but my actions are speaking
Absolutely.
differently. There's
Absolutely.
there's a connection with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
over time, if none of that's matching, my kids are gonna find it somewhere else.
Yeah.
They're not gonna respect certain pieces,
Sure.
standards, values, morals.
Sure.
And so that's what I grasped. I was like, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got
Yeah,
it.
and I think churches, our job is to introduce people to Christ,
Right.
the way of
Absolutely.
salvation.
Right.
Absolutely.
You can't introduce them in a loving way. You introduce and tell how much God loves, and then you smack them down in the next
Correct.
thing. And that's what
Absolutely.
happens.
Yeah.
I do
You
agree with that.
introduce,
I do
Yeah.
agree with
try
that.
to teach, and you
do
judge
agree.
all
Yeah, I
within
do
in a
agree with
week's
that.
time.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got them. You welcome them and got them going to hell in the
do
same
agree
week.
with that.
Yeah.
Because because we have our own standards of
do
what
agree
that
with
looks like and what we think is right, and
Sure.
and we pick and choose what we want to talk
Sure,
about
sure,
and what's
sure.
right to talk about
I
and
agree with
what's
that.
and what's acceptable,
I agree with
what's
that.
not acceptable, and what and what we just leave that alone.
Sure,
We
sure.
And you know, years ago, you could live your life outside of the church as the leader or as a person in an office because you didn't have 90 million cameras in front of you.
My God.
But you
And
know,
you
now,
didn't have social media.
Yeah, now I go to the
business
store.
ain't your business.
Yeah, not at
and
all.
I see Sister Lottie, and I just, hey, Sister Lottie, how you doing, girl? And I hug her. Next
And
thing
somebody
you know,
done snapped the picture of you,
hey,
Doc. or
man,
you-
I'm going viral. Look at the good red.
Yeah, yeah.
Hanging out with
Yeah.
one of the,
Right.
you understand
right,
what I mean?
Right, absolutely. And then you got cancel culture.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Then I'm a scandal.
Right, absolutely.
All right, that was a good conversation starter. You ready for the debate?
That wasn't it?
That wasn't it.
Oh,
that was
God.
good, but that wasn't it.
I don't want the debate.
Now we're gonna
If
get
that
to the
wasn't
debate.
the debate, I don't
wasn't-
want the debate.
Well, we gotta have the
right.
debate.
All
All right. We're gonna talk about something that's not it's popular, but it's not fun to talk about.
Yikes.
We hear about the murders in major cities all the time. All the murders are going to in Chicago. I mean, they're breaking records all the time. Atlanta is getting just as bad. It seems like.
Absolutely.
And a lot of it is us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the problem is, where is the outrage?
Yeah,
You
man.
don't see the outrage about the murders that we see. We see the outrage about, the police violence.
Yeah.
We see that outrage. And then they say black on black crime, but again, the statistics are almost the same.
Yeah.
Whites kill whites 81% of the time.
Wow.
Blacks kill blacks 89% of the time.
Wow.
So it's not, it's not,
8%
most of the time, other cultures
You're
are
in
killing
your
their
culture.
own because they live. You live amongst,
Right.
your people. So
Sure.
more likely your interactions are going to be with them.
Sure.
So but these murders, but we don't hear that outrage.
Yeah.
About people just getting killed. Period. There is not a big movement about we're sick and tired of it.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah, I think we've become numb to it
Boom.
over the years.
Yeah. Boom.
You look at some of the police shows and having been in law enforcement, I used to look and say, man, you don't just come in and write a report and then go out in the street the next day.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But you look at police shows now and,
Got it.
you killing
great
people,
point.
they
Okay.
seeing gore.
Yeah.
This new show where they killing the Squid Games.
Squid Game.
Squid
I mean, everything
Yeah.
gives you. I knew that it was time for me to retire when I would come to a crime scene and see 4 young people who I went to school with their parents, saw them shot dead in a horrific way. And I was talking with my partners about what I did last week.
Yikes.
I was numb.
There was no.
It was numb. It was just like, this is what we do. And I think this culture has gotten to the point that this is just what happens.
Wow.
Where in the neighborhood, you got 5 or 6 shots coming through your neighbor's door, and oh, they good? All right, cool. And they going on watching TV like it's okay.
Wow.
So,
absolutely agree.
where do we sound the alarm? Look, this is not okay.
Sure.
And then where do we get to the point where we have the courage to say to our nephew, who ain't worked
Wow.
in years, and he driving up in a brand new Phantom,
Right.
and
How you getting it?
come on.
Yeah.
But we say, hey, boy, you better be careful. But we don't say, hey, man, I'm turning you in.
Wow.
You doing wrong.
Wow.
And what you're doing is causing all this stuff to happen in the neighborhood. Where do we get to the point where the outrage is what
Wow.
you're saying? Where
Wow.
we push the button and say, hey, man, you can't do this, man, in my neighborhood. Hey, man, you can't do this and be a member of my family.
Wow.
That's good.
I wholeheartedly agree. I believe we are numb if it's not at our doorstep.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
if it's not directly at our doorstep, we'll see it. We'll still feel the effects of it.
Sure.
For the day, for a couple of weeks.
Sure.
And then we move forward.
Absolutely.
And so it's hard to, growing up where I grew up, there was a code. You don't mess with kids, you don't mess with women, and you don't mess with older people.
Wow.
Right?
That's right.
Everything else is free game.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
And so even when we look, because it's grown so common that kids are getting killed, we're numb to that. elderly are getting killed. Remember that. Women are getting ran up on. I
Wow.
believe in the news.
Yeah.
Somebody got raped on a
couple months
train.
ago, the lady got raped on the train, and people just
Yeah.
yeah.
Videoing it, man.
Nobody
So,
called 911.
nobody
They
called
just said,
911,
but they just
anything like
were.
that. But
Wow.
that's society.
Wow.
If it's not at my doorstep, if it ain't happened to me, it's like I'm minding my business. I'm gonna keep moving.
Sure.
And so when we look at the murders, it affects those who are directly connected to it. I work with students. You hear a student killed, it cuts
Absolutely.
you some type
Yeah,
of way,
man.
Absolutely.
right? And so at that point, yes, there's an outrage, and then there's like we gotta do something about it. And not to say that cities, communities don't have programs, they
Sure.
don't have mentorships, because they do.
Sure.
Other side to that coin is those people being honest to accept that help, that assistance.
Right, right.
Right. So for my students who are out, I remember my first day coming here to House of Hope, and a student challenged me when I was just having a conversation, challenged me, and internally, I had to check it.
Yeah.
I had to check him.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just, it was a hard check.
Wow.
But then I also had to take it a step further and pull him to the side and say, listen, man,
Got it.
you don't know me, I don't know you.
Right.
You don't know where I've come from.
Right.
But if I open up this biography,
Right.
Right.
we're going to have some connections.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
But the flip side to that is, if this is how you treat me and you just met me,
Right.
then
How
we
will
got
you
to
see
shift some stuff.
Right, right.
And I'm saying this out of love for
Right,
you
right.
because if this is who you are
Right.
in public,
Right.
in church,
Sure,
wherever,
sure.
I'm assuming you like this at school.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're like this outside.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I looked at him, I said, at the end of the day, the reality is, you can be doing everything right. And something occurs to you,
Yeah.
you can't rewind that.
Yeah.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
can't redo that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it's not, and what I loved about it was he accepted
Wow.
the conversation.
Because you
Wow.
talk to him like a human.
Yeah, I cut him first.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I had to,
Well,
I had
Doc,
to
you gotta
manhood.
do
I had to cut him
you
first.
met him where he was.
Yeah, but then being strong enough to, hey man, wait afterwards.
Sure.
Yeah.
I know you upset. I
Right.
know. I probably embarrassed you.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
But now let's have a conversation.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then there's a fear
Absolutely.
factor too. Let's be honest. I can sit here and talk tough all I want. You know,
Right.
you can't do this, you can't.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But
When
you know,
confront it.
hey, you're gonna get 18 bullets come through your window if they
Right,
know
sure.
that you said something.
Absolutely.
Because you stopped the flow
Absolutely.
of them eating.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Got you.
Absolutely.
Got you. Greg?
It's I just feel the same as what you guys are saying. I just feel like, you know, one of the things that I can appreciate is somebody saying that when you don't know the answer, just say I don't know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And that's just honestly where I am.
Yeah.
You know, I love Chicago. I've got family from Chicago.
Yeah.
Just
Beautiful,
using them as
beautiful
an
city.
Yeah, man.
beautiful. My
Absolutely.
wife loves Chicago.
Yeah.
We love to go visit Chicago.
Spent 7
Chicago's
years
a
there.
church town. It's a music
Yeah,
town.
man.
We love going there. But when you hear about Chicago and
Oh,
everything
man.
that's happening, I mean, I got an old friend from church. Her daughter was going to Chicago just to visit and sat on the stoop and was shot down. She wasn't there. She don't even live there. You know, life was taken visiting. You know, so it's just when you hear about that, it cuts you deep.
Yeah, man.
You know, but then you're confronted with, so what do we do?
Yeah.
I'm almost fearful. I keep using
that's
fearful,
fine.
but y'all understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying
man.
when I
Yeah.
use that term. My wife asked me that recently. You know, what do you think that they're going to do about Chicago? I'm actually nervous about if they ever decide to
Martial law.
reset.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Because they got ways of resetting.
Yeah,
Yes,
Doc. Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
You know?
Yes, sir.
And so I wish that we could get through
Yeah.
Yeah.
to people to say, you don't want that reset.
Yeah, man.
You know, let's shut it down on our
I've
own.
been part of that resetting crew.
wow.
It ain't pretty, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the
When they
val-
unleash you.
yeah, the value on
Believe
human
it.
life it's gotten so watered down.
Yeah, absolutely.
You think about, I mean, the cartoons that they watch. What happens on cartoons?
People get killed.
They die, and
People die.
in the next scene, they're back. You know, they're
absolutely.
alive again. And even you think about even TV shows. Actor gets killed on one TV show, but
show up on
you
another.
see him on another show.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The reality.
So that's the reality is you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, again, and just the value of life and what people think is important. It's not killing somebody for protecting your, while you're protecting your family or your home.
Yeah.
That's not a murder. That's that's not. But when you
Just
when
look.
When it's
somebody
over some
stepping on
shoes
your
or it's
shoe,
over some,
or somebody is because
What's
you're
set,
in
you
traffic
know.
because you tried to get over
Yeah.
those types of things. I think we
Yeah.
got to look at again. I don't. And you're right. The best thing you said was, I don't know.
I don't know.
Because
And there's a whole-
if we knew, we wouldn't have this
Yeah,
problem.
right,
We wouldn't
absolutely.
have
And
this
there's a
problem.
whole thing that goes with that.
Absolutely.
Because, during the funeral, now everybody's getting their geared right. Everybody's getting their, I'm going to wear this, I'm going to wear that. And, we're going to put them out right. And we're going to do this. We're going to look right.
Yes, sir.
And then you come to the funeral and it's
Yes,
a
sir.
whole thing.
Yes,
and it's
sir.
like, and then
Yes, sir.
afterwards, it's another whole thing.
Yes, sir.
And it's almost like, whoa, man, this ain't a thing.
But
Yeah.
but it's back. But
It's
to your
cycle.
point,
It's a cycle.
But after that, the problem is when something tragic happens like that to somebody, and you honor them, you have a candlelight vigil, you have a funeral, you have
Right.
a memorial, all of those things.
Yeah.
You do all that. You come together for that.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
But then
Wow. It's
the day after that,
Day after, it's back on.
it's
Back to
it's-
business
it's-
as usual.
It's business as usual.
Yes, sir.
And because it's like, okay, we took care of that. So then it's not a comma. How do we continue this piece?
Absolutely.
It's put a period behind there.
For a second.
To your point, yeah, we did what we supposed to do. Now let's go back out and do what we normally do. And until that changes, and again, it's because there's so many reasons that it
Yeah, man.
happens. There's
Yeah.
so many underlying
Yeah.
reasons
Yeah.
and
Yeah, man.
situations that
Yeah.
are too numerous for us to
Yeah.
tell.
Silly stuff.
From
It's a
how from your
multi-pronged problem,
from where
man.
you were raised and how you were raised to your psychological statement of mind and all of those things.
Yeah.
It's so much that has to go in. I mean, to change one person.
Yeah,
Wow.
man.
To
Yeah.
change one person to
Wow.
get. I mean, so you're talking about changing
A
community, a
community,
generation,
yeah,
a
generation.
community.
Even
I mean,
as a parent, with grown children.
Absolutely.
When I hear the news,
Yeah.
and I see somebody killed over here, and they say the car, I'm looking at the
See
car.
what the car looks like.
And then I'm
Absolutely.
texting my son, hey man,
You
how you
good?
doing?
Yeah.
I don't want to say, hey,
Yeah.
I just saw the news.
Right,
and
right.
Hey, how you doing, man? And then when I don't get an answer for a while, I'm like,
It shakes you.
And you
Yeah.
know, and it's strange, and it's very. You say that's because I have two teenage sons, and my youngest just turned 16, and he's got his driver's license, so they both drive. My oldest son has his own car, so they both drive, and they go places, they
Yeah,
go to
absolutely.
parties, they do the stuff because you can't keep
Absolutely.
them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
to your point, whenever you hear something, and I'm telling you, it's having children is the best thing in the world.
And the
Yeah,
worst
man.
thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
whenever something happens, you just,
Right.
is it my, you
Hey,
want to know?
I've heard my
my
mom.
kids are good and
Yeah, I
grown.
just
Yeah.
say absolutely,
And it's
but
still-
that never goes away.
Never goes
And,
away.
and
never
I've
goes
heard
away.
my mom say that for years.
Yeah.
You know,
Never goes
you
away.
think that as they get older, it gets easier, and
My
but
mom
you
does that.
worry
I'm
just
50
as
I'm
you
53.
worry.
My mom still does that.
Still
Absolutely.
worries.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
You know that never goes away.
Absolutely.
But to worry about, I didn't think because, and I don't know when I was growing up whether my mom had to worry about this or not. But I didn't think this was going to have to be the thing that I worried about.
Right.
Wow.
When my kids left the house.
Are they coming back?
Whether they would be in a, you can run in somebody's car and they get murdered.
Yeah.
I didn't think that this would be the thing
Yeah.
Yeah.
that I would have to think,
Absolutely.
girls, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
That, but
Right.
again, and I guess we have to tackle this, like, where do you start?
Yeah.
Like, it is almost like
That's
you got to
the thing.
start
You
with that
don't know what
person,
you-
with that one person that you know that you might be able to help.
Wow.
Yeah.
That one person, you
Yeah.
know what, I can't,
Yeah,
we
can't
can't
help
go to
the
Chicago
generation.
or Atlanta and change but
Yeah.
you got to get, okay, if I can get one person, if that's one person that I save from getting murdered
Yeah.
Wow.
or committing one.
Committing one, yeah.
Then,
Wow. And I've done my part
then
at
I've done
least
my-
yeah,
I've done- I've
to
done
help
it.
society.
That's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
I
man.
believe
It's
the
tough,
other
man.
side to that is not the other side, but I believe generation as a millennial, when you look back on generations before, there was always that one person that would be at the forefront, that would represent you, that would speak up for you. So your Dr.
Yeah.
Kings, your Malcolm X's,
Yeah.
they would speak for a community.
Yeah.
I believe for us, it's almost like by default, you're waiting for that one person.
Yeah.
When you're possibly that one person for 2 or 3 generations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's good.
And it's like people are waiting for that one that's going to step up
Wow.
to drop the hammer
Yeah.
to shift the mentality when half of our mentalities is selfish. Is, bruh, I got to
but
get
As long as I
mine.
take
you
care of
know
me
what?
and
I
mine.
got to take
Can
care of
I
me
add
and mine.
something to that?
You know what I'm saying?
In all honesty,
Final point for you.
some
Roy.
people are tired, man.
Yeah,
Oh, for sure.
I agree
Because
with
we
that.
fight on so many
I agree with
fronts.
that. I agree with that.
We fight on
I do
so
agree.
many fronts, man.
Absolutely.
We're fighting
And
everywhere. We're fighting the man. We're fighting the work. We're
this,
fighting the
we're
job. We're
this.
fighting the school.
And then we
We're
got to
fighting-
fight to stay alive. And it's just like, man, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, you're trying to find some peace
Somewhere.
Like, I just wanna
and
come
And if you
home.
got to fight when you go home.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
That was, I forget,
I
that was the
don't
last
know.
show.
That
That was another show.
I said it.
Yeah, I can't fight that.
All right, look, guys, again, great topic, great
sir.
show. Look, we want to thank you all for joining us for our inaugural season of The Conversation. Look, tell all your friends about us. We're going to be back next season with even more topics and some special guests. Again, thanks to my partners in crime,
Hey.
Kirkland, DeMarcus
Hey,
Kemp,
man,
Jeff
this
Pomeroy.
was fun, dog.
It
Yes,
has
sir.
been a
Man.
blast. I wouldn't want to do this with
Yes,
any other
sir.
group but you
Thank
all.
you, man.
Look, thank you all for joining us each
My
week
man.
for The Conversation. We'll see you next season.
Let's
Take
go.
care of yourself.
Conversation. I know y'all love us. Go ahead, call in. Let us
Email
know.
him.
Redeemer is here. My. Oh, come, let us adore him till let's celebrate. Joy to the world. The Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and angels sing. Yeah. You ought to help me celebrate right now. If you have nothing under your tree, December 25th, give God praise. He came to give you victory. I came to celebrate. I came to lift my hands. I came to do my dance. Right now, let's celebrate. Hallelujah. Celebrate. Mary's baby. For under us a child is born. A son is given. And the government is going to be upon his shoulder. Let's celebrate. Woo! He's the lily of the valley. The bright and morning star.